I'm so glad you could join me. Today, I thought we could take a look at this ultimate Dinopedia book. The most complete dinosaur reference ever. Dinosaurs, reviewed by paleontologist Dr. Darren Naish, illustrated by Franco Tempesta. Let's take a look inside. Some amazing illustrations. This is by the National Geographic, Washington, D.C. Let's look at the foreword and the introduction. Dinosaurs are among the most exciting, inspiring, and interesting animals that have ever existed. They fascinate us with their amazing body shapes, incredible sizes, and the way in which they must have lived. An excellent and constantly improving fossil record means that dinosaurs provide us with brilliant illustrations of how evolution occurs, how animals change over time as they adapt to new environments and conditions, and as they take to new lifestyles. Over the past few decades, the dinosaur story has become ever more exciting as those scientists who study them have found more and more evidence that dinosaurs are not extinct, but that they live on as birds. For these reasons and others, dinosaurs are especially important. They introduce people to the natural world and to an appreciation of science in general. By reading this book and by learning about dinosaurs, we hope you'll become as excited about the work dinosaur experts do and the discoveries they make. And remember, there are still so many things yet to discover. That's by Darren Naish, paleontologist. And here is Dr. Naish. He's excavating a newly discovered dinosaur bone in the Sahara in Morocco. In the introduction, if you like dinosaurs, you came to the right book. The new Dinopedia is the most complete kids' dinosaur encyclopedia yet. Some of what you read will be news to you, even if you know a lot about dinosaurs. Why? We live in the greatest time for dinosaur discovery. More than half of all dinosaurs we know about have been discovered in the past 30 years. Come meet hundreds of these incredible creatures, from your old pal Tyrannosaurus to several dinosaurs so newly named that they have never appeared in a book before. Here you'll find dinosaurs with wings like those of bats, dinosaurs covered in feathers, dinosaurs that lived in holes, and dinosaurs that climbed trees, jungle dinosaurs, desert dinosaurs, dinosaurs that lived at what is now the South Pole. You'll also discover fascinating information about dino history and the incredible worlds in which they lived. And it all comes to life with dinosaur artist Franco Tempesta's stunning paintings. I hope you have as much fun reading about these amazing animals as I did writing about them. Dinosaurs. I thought we could just kind of flip through the book and pick out some dinosaurs to look at. Look at these absolutely fantastic illustrations. I'm going to skip ahead. Ooh, let's look at great dinosaur hunters. People have been finding dinosaur bones for thousands of years, but only in the past 200 years have scientists identified dinosaurs. Gideon Mantell, English country doctor who in 1822 first identified a dinosaur from iguanodon teeth dug up by local miners. Over here we have Richard Owen, British scientist who created the word dinosaur, meaning terrible lizard, in 1842. O.C. Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, rival dinosaur scientists of the late 19th century who named more dinosaurs than anyone in history, including the giants Apatosaurus and Triceratops. Here we have Barnum Brown, a Wild West dinosaur hunter of the early 1900s. Mr. Dinosaur was the man who found Tyrannosaurus. Then we have Roy Chapman Andrews, right here, explorer of the Gobi Desert, whose team found the first dinosaur nests and velociraptor in the 1920s. With his gun, hat, and fear of snakes, he's often been compared to Indiana Jones. Same hat. Mary Schweitzer. American paleontologist Mary Schweitzer has made important dinosaur discoveries. Under a microscope, she identified a Tyrannosaurus fossil as belonging to a pregnant female. She also found close similarities in cell structure between Tyrannosaurus and chickens, demonstrating a close relationship of dinosaurs to birds. Here we have John R. Jack Warner, a Montana dinosaur explorer whose discoveries include duckbill, Maiasaura, and nests and babies of the little meat-eater Troodon. Paul Serrano, Chicago-based paleontologist who named one of the earliest dinosaurs Eoraptor and found Jabaria and other African dinosaurs in the Sahara. Xu Jing, Chinese scientist who has named more dinosaurs than any other living scientist. His discoveries include many feathered dinosaurs, such as tiny Microraptor. Philip Curie, Canadian expert on meat-eating dinosaurs, who has explored the Gobi, Argentina, and Western Canada. He discovered group life among Albertosaurus. Rodolfo Coria, Argentine paleontologist who named the two biggest meat-eaters, Gigantosaurus and Mapasaurus. So here we have all the places around the world that lots of creatures have been found. Red Deer River, Alberta, Canada. Hell Creek, Montana. Dinosaur National Monument, Utah. Como Bluff, Wyoming. Biloxi River, Texas. I'm going to probably say this wrong. Ishiqualastoc, Argentina. Plaza, Wincall, Argentina. Isle of Wight, England. Bernissart, Belgium. Solnhofen, Germany. Gobi Desert, Mongolia. Lining, China. Sigong, China. Tenaguru, Tanzania. Sahara Desert, Niger. Karoo Basin, South Africa. Madagascar. Dinosaur Cove, Australia. And Lark Quarry, Australia. Politics. Alright, let's see what kind of dinosaurs we can take a look at. How about this one? Scutellosaurus. A light suit of armor. Little Scutellosaurus was a very early ancestor of the huge, tank-like ankylosaurs. It is the smallest and oldest armored dinosaur known. More than 300 armored plates sat atop its skin from neck to tail. The shape of these armored patches varied from flat to grooved. Scutellosaurus's close relative, Scelidosaurus, from England, was even more heavily armored. Scutellosaurus ran on its hind legs, but also may have walked on all fours. It was almost certainly a fast-running, nimble dinosaur. That speed would have helped more than its light armor to protect Scutellosaurus from predators. So here's a 24.3 millimeter bottle cap, and it says Scutellosaurus armor plates were smaller than a bottle cap. Scutellosaurus had an unusually long tail. With many armored plates, Scutellosaurus may have been heavier than its small size suggests, and a long tail might have helped it balance the weight of its body in front of its hips. Little shield lizard. It lived from 201 to 174 million years ago during the early Jurassic. It was found in the United States and Arizona. There are 2 incomplete fossil skeletons and hundreds of armor plates, and its length was 4 feet or 1.2 meters long. Here's generally the size. It's quite small but long. So here it is in this illustration with short arms and long legs, back, and a long tail. And it has spikes all down the length of its tail up to its body. And then the back is covered in what looks like almost river rock or small stones. And then its little head and eyes, nostrils. Huayangosaurus. Spiky stegosaur. Huayangosaurus was an early stegosaur just half the size of the later stegosaurus, with a double row of plates that were shaped like spikes. Huayangosaurus had teeth in the front of its mouth. Later stegosaurs had none. We have many fossils that tell us a lot about Huayangosaurus' world. It fed on low-growing plants along the riverbanks of central China. Above it, giant plant eaters, including Dinosaurs, fed on trees with their long necks. Dinosaurs ran by, stopping to nibble at plants close to the ground, and all of these plant eaters would have feared Yangchonosaurus, a sizable and nasty meat eater. Huayangosaurus had 2 big spikes over its hips, and probably had long spines projecting from its shoulders as well. Perhaps those spikes prevented meat eaters from attacking it from above. 12 Huayangosaurus skeletons were found in the same rich quarry in central China that produced complete Dinosaurs and other outstanding skeletons. So this means lizard from Huayang. It lived 170 million years ago during the Middle Jurassic. It was found in China, and the skeleton fossils include 12 mostly complete. The length is 13 feet or 4 meters long, so it's quite a bit larger than the last one we looked at. This illustration, here it is, it has the double plates going down its back, has these 2 large horns on its hips, more plates down the tail, and then more spikes at the end. Here's a little tiny dinosaur flying by, or a pterosaur. Let's look at this one. Gastonia, the Great Defender. Gastonia was one of the most heavily armored of all dinosaurs. A jumble of more than 1,000 of Gastonia's bones and bits of armor were discovered together. The remains belonged to several Gastonia, so it's difficult to be sure how many spikes and plates each Gastonia had. But it certainly had a lot. It had 4 horns on its head, and thick layers of bone shielded its brain. A smooth plate under the skin across its hips protected its lower spine. Rows of spikes stuck out from its back, and its tail featured double rows of spikes sticking up on each side. Swinging its tail, Gastonia could have used the sharp edges like scissors to cut an attacker. Here we have fossil skull. Bones of Utah raptor were discovered alongside these of Gastonia. Perhaps the location was an ancient battle site. Gastonia needed thick armor to defend itself from one of the nastiest of all killer dinosaurs, Utah raptor. That largest of all raptors was 20 feet or 6 meters long and weighed 1 ton. It had huge sharp claws and sharp teeth. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be a Utah raptor chasing after this Gastonia. And it's got a little head with a beak and has these sharp pointed spikes all over its back and kind of around its shoulders. It's stomping around. So this is named after its discoverer, artist Robert Gaston. It lived 125 million years ago during the early Cretaceous. It was found in the U.S. and Utah. There are 4 or 5 individual fossils of complete individuals. The length is 13 to 16 feet or 4 to 5 meters long. So this kind of gives you a general idea of how big they were compared to a person, an adult. Ooh, this one looks interesting. Let's read about this. Tarkia, the smart tank. Tarkia is the last and one of the largest known Asian club-tailed armored dinosaurs. It lived in what is now the Gobi Desert and weighed nearly 10,000 pounds, or 4,536 kilograms. In Tarkia's time, the area of the Gobi was dry, but it was not entirely desert. There were small streams and lakes, as well as sand dunes. In this environment, Tarkia would have grazed on low-growing plants, which it ground down with its small leaf-shaped teeth. Tarkia's big skull was wider than it was long, and it was covered in bony lumps of many shapes and sizes. As strange as the skull sounds, it was similar to the bumpy skulls of armored dinosaurs of its time from North America. Tarkia got its brainy name because its brain is twice the size of the brain of Sacania, the other armored dinosaur discovered nearby, even though Tarkia's head is only half as big. The meaning is brainy one. It lived 78 to 69 million years ago in the late Cretaceous. It was found in Mongolia. The fossils are 1 nearly complete skeleton without skull and 2 complete skulls. The length is 26 to 28 feet or 8 to 8.5 meters long. It was actually quite large compared to a person. Tarkia had an oddly shaped head with triangular spikes that stuck out sideways from its skull and curved horns that pushed out of the rear of its skull. This view reminds me of a cow. You've seen cows. But instead of ears, these are spikes sticking out the side of its cheeks, right near its eyes. And it has these flank chompers, has armored back, and lots of spikes sticking out. Dracorex, so let's read about this. Dracorex, Harry Potter's Dragon King. Dracorex was a medium-sized pachycephalosaur. It had many strange knobs on its head, as most of these thick-headed dinosaurs did. Its head was flatter than the domes on many of its relatives. But Dracorex and another fancy-horned little plant-eater named the Stygimoloch might not be different kinds of dinosaurs at all. Paleontologists have recently suggested that they are just young Pachycephalosaurus, and that as they grew their headgear would have changed like antlers on a deer. Dracorex's scary head inspired the paleontologists to name it after Draco Malfoy, the evil character in the Harry Potter books. Dracorex, meaning the Dragon King, it lived 70 to 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous. It was found in the U.S. and South Dakota. It's nearly complete skull with 4 backbones, at 10 feet or 3 meters long. Here it is compared to a human, so not quite as big as the last one. Dracorex Rex's head was covered with nasty-looking spikes, horns, and bubble-shaped lumps of bone, but its head lacked the thick dome known from other North American Pachycephalosaurus. Perhaps this was because Dracorex was not yet fully grown. Dracorex is not the only dinosaur name for fantasy fiction. Borogovia, a little meat-eater, was named for the Borogroves monsters in the poem Jabberwocky by Alice in Wonderland author Lewis Carroll. So here's a drawing of the creepy creature. I don't know, over here it looks rather docile, doesn't it? In this nice sunset view of has all these little spikes on the head. Looking goth. It's got these stripes in between. It's got some nice purple eyeshadow on. Little spikes on its cheek. This looks like an interesting little creature. This is a Ceratops. Triceratops's little ancestor. A horned dinosaur just a little bigger than a standard poodle. Meet Ceratops. These little plant eaters did not look much like Triceratops and the other giant horned dinosaurs from the end of dinosaur time. Why? Because they didn't have horns. So how do scientists know they're closely related? Ceratops had a parrot-like beak, a common feature of all horned dinosaurs. Ceratops shared its habitat with another newly named little dinosaur, Yinlong. The two species are the oldest known horned dinosaurs. So its name means ornamental horned face. It lived 160 million years ago during the late Jurassic. It was found in northwestern China, and parts of the skull and skeleton fossils were found. The length is 5 feet or 1.5 meters long. So there it is compared to an average human. There were at least 5 different groups of small horned dinosaurs in China at the end of the Jurassic era. We have a Guanlong, a Chinese meat eater, back here, that may have preyed on Ceratops. More than 75 million years later, Guanlong's relative Tyrannosaurus rex preyed upon Ceratops's relative Triceratops. Here we have Guanlong, a Chinese meat eater, that may have preyed on Ceratops. And here it has this little frill that's got bony parts on it and around its eyes. It has little sharp teeth coming down. And its back looks rather fuzzy, or maybe quills sticking out of it. And then its feet have 4 toes on it. Each leg. It's kind of cute. Let's look at this one. Oranosaurus, sail-backed plant grinder. Oranosaurus was found in the Sahara Desert, but until recent times the Sahara wasn't a desert at all. It was a land of forests and rivers where rain fell frequently. Like other members of the iguanodonid family, Oranosaurus chewed tough plants with many grinding cheek teeth, but the spines on its back were twice as tall as those on Iguanodon. Oranosaurus also had 2 wide and low bumps behind its nostrils, Many iguanodontids had odd snout shapes. It is possible that these nifty noses were display features for attracting mates. Perhaps its enormous crest was a display feature too. Ouranosaurus's brave name comes from the big monitor lizard that the nomadic people of the Sahara call Ourane. The name means brave lizard. It lived 115 million years ago in the early Cretaceous. It was found in Niger. Fossils, there were 2 nearly complete skeletons, and the length is 24 feet or 7 meters long. In Ouranosaurus' time, North Africa was a green plain of ferns and evergreen trees that flooded each year. Gigantic crocodiles and other big predators might have attacked Ouranosaurus. Here we have an illustration that's quite fantastic of what this creature may have looked like. It's this big sail on the back, kind of like Spinosaurus, but the head is very similar to iguanodons, and the front feet look like they have 1 clawed thumb, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, toes there. Let's read about this one. Dinosaurs. Unicorn spiked muncher. Sounds like a band name. Of all the strange headgear on duckbills, Dinosaurus skull bones may have been the strangest of all. Dinosaurus had a spike, a bit like the mythical unicorns, standing out from atop its skull. When Chinese researcher C.C. Yang first described this long skull bone in 1958, scientists in other countries thought it was too strange to be true. They thought the spike was misplaced from somewhere else on the dinosaur's body. But when a second Dinosaurus skull was found with the same strange head spike, scientists were convinced that Dr. Yang was right after all. This means a lizard from Sintao. The period of time was 70 million years ago during the late Cretaceous. It was found in China and has, obviously they said, 2 complete skeletons, 33 feet or 10 meters long. So it was quite a large animal compared to a human. Big old crest at the top. What was the purpose of Dinosaurus's unicorn-like horn? It appears to have been a decoration to a female. The male's horn might have been an attractive feature. Dinosaurus was named by, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong, by Yang Zongyan, who was called the father of Chinese paleontology. He was also named Mamachosaurus and was a classmate of China's first premier, Mao Zedong. So here we have a nice illustration. Quite colorful creatures. There's 2 here. One kind of in front of the other. These spikes on the back. These large horns on top. Their nostrils and their little beak-like mouths. Red and green. Let's look at saurischians. There's some meat eaters here. I don't think we've covered this one before, about the Akasaurus. Nest raider. Akasaurus was one of the many myths mid-sized South American meat eaters, the best known of which is Carnotaurus. Archosaurus had longer arms than Carnotaurus and no horns on its head. Its strong jaws and teeth were its weapons. It did, however, have low ridges above its eyes. Its legs were long and light, suggesting that it might have run down its prey. A complete skeleton of Archosaurus was found on top of the fossil nest of hundreds of sauropod eggs, so Archosaurus may have had an appetite for baby dinosaurs and eggs. So its name means reptile from Arca in Patagonia. It lived 84 million years ago during the late Cretaceous. It was found in Argentina. There is one nearly complete skeleton, and it was 14 feet or 4.3 meters long, so it was quite large compared to a human. Archosaurus was a fierce hunter and a crafty egg-raider, just as you see here, but it was also the victim of other predators, although probably only those at least as big as itself. So it's kind of a T-Rex looking creature, but look at the huge toes on this thing. Look at the size of those feet. It's quite big-footed, isn't it? In this illustration, anyway. Here it is going after some eggs. A partial skeleton of Archosaurus was found with a broken skull in a shallow lake. Scientists think perhaps it was bitten or hit with a powerful blow from another dinosaur. Assuming this is it right here. Lorinosaurus, a flesh eater with belly rocks. Just what kind of meat eater Lorinosaurus was is not clear to scientists. Some think it was a cousin of Allosaurus, while others think it may have been more closely related to the older Megalosaurus. The fossil bones found in Portugal belong to a teenage dinosaur, not fully grown but already nearly 14 feet, or 4.5 meters long. Part of the find was a number of gastroliths or polished stones. Lorinosaurus would have swallowed stones to help grind up the food in its gut. Some animals do this today. Chickens, for example, aid their digestion by swallowing little bits of grit. So its name means reptile from Lorina. It lived 145 million years ago during the late Jurassic, early Cretaceous period. It was found in Portugal. There are partial skeletons, but no skull. It's 26 feet or 8 meters long. So it was quite a big animal. Could just gobble you up in one bite. Here's an illustration of it. And I'm guessing that they're guessing at the head a little bit since they don't have a skull. But it's having a tasty dinner. This creature, it's just at the edge of the ocean. Lorinosaurus and other dinosaurs from its location in Portugal were discovered by Octavio Mateus, a paleontologist specializing in dinosaurs. Octavio's mother worked to create a dinosaur museum near the discovery site. Picture. Acrocanthosaurus, slow-running attacker. Acrocanthosaurus was one of the biggest of all killer dinosaurs. It is the biggest ever found in the southern United States. Spines up to 2 feet or 0.6 meters long on its neck and back supported a muscled ridge of unknown purpose. But it was not the most terrifying of all killers. It had long thigh bones compared to its shin bones, a sign of a slow runner. Acrocanthosaurus' thick tail could not have helped it get around quickly either. Still, it was probably capable of killing any plant eater in its world. Its most likely prey would have included Paluxiosaurus, Dinosaurs, and even the tallest dinosaur of all, Sauroposeidon. so its name means high-spined lizard. It lived 121 million years ago during the early Cretaceous. It was found in the U.S., Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona. There are nearly 2 complete skeleton fossils, and its size was 40 feet or 12.5 meters long. Look how big that is compared to a person. Probably could have just stepped on you and didn't even know you were there. Acrocanthosaurus was a fierce-looking killer. Its upper jaws held 38 sharp teeth of varying sizes. Acrocanthosaurus had bony ridges over its eyes, as did the earlier Allosaurus. Later, big meat eaters in South America also had similar bony ridges over their eyes. So here we have kind of a close-up of this head here. Big old teeth. This bony ridge around its eye. Spectacular fossil footprints show a meat eater attacking a giant plant eater. This footprint might be the track of an attacking Acrocanthosaurus. So here you can see the footprints. Compsognathus, feisty lizard slurper. Compsognathus produced a lot of confusion. It was discovered in the same limestone quarries that produced Archaeopteryx. At first, scientists thought the fossils were from the same dinosaur. Then, for many years, scientists didn't recognize the third finger on Compsognathus's hands, so they thought it was related to the much later two-fingered Tyrannosaurus. And scientists also thought that Compsognathus was one of the smallest dinosaurs. However, in recent years, a large number of theropods, even smaller than Compsognathus, have been discovered, among them the tiny Scansoriopteryx. Its name means delicate jaw. 145 million years ago, during the late Jurassic and early Cretaceous, it was found in Germany and France. It had several complete skeletons, and its length was 3 feet or 0.9 meters long, so it was just a little tiny thing. Compsognathus was a fast, strong-eyed hunter. Insects, lizards, and small mammals may have been its favorite prey, and we have proof. The remains of a lizard were found in the chest area of Compsognathus. The lizard fossil was a whole skeleton, so Compsognathus may have swallowed its prey whole. This is quite a lovely illustration over here, and it has kind of that soft baby bird look to it, that fuzz. Very fine, feathery. The legs like a chicken, only has little arms. Then you have the giant dragonflies flying around that might have been food. Compsognathus was no bigger than a turkey. Fossil impressions found in 2006 show that Compsognathus had bumpy skin. Did it have feathers too? We're not sure. Troodon, Dinobrainiac. Troodon was a slender little meat eater. How did it survive among so many bigger dinosaurs? Well, it helped that Troodon was the smartest of all dinosaurs. Scientists estimate its intelligence by the size of its brain compared to its body. On that scale, Troodon was about as smart as an ostrich today. Troodon is also special because of its teeth. It had several different shapes of teeth, which probably allowed it to eat different types of food. Little mammals and lizards were likely among its favorite dinners, but its long claws suggest it may have killed large prey, such as young duck-billed dinosaurs, particularly if Troodon hunted in packs. So its name means wound tooth. It lived 76 million years ago in late Cretaceous. It was found in the U.S., in Montana, Wyoming, Alaska, and in Canada, in Alberta. Wow, that's quite a lot. There's 20 skeletons with many teeth and eggs, and 6.5 feet or 2 meters long. Troodon was smarter than your mousy mammal ancestors. Its big brain meant it enjoyed good eyesight and a sense of smell. With its raptor-style claws and speed, it was likely a good hunter. Perhaps it even hunted in twilight to take advantage of its strong eyesight. So here we have an amazing illustration of this Troodon with its kind of fuzzy feather look to it. It had quite pointy teeth out front here, and they're of different lengths in this picture. Big eyes. Here it is, another one running around over here, I'm assuming. Kind of a fanned tail. Interesting. And it's chasing a little mammal running down the tree. Troodon's brain was as big as a golf ball on an animal no bigger than a 5th grader. A 5th grader's brain is bigger than a baseball. So, it was smart, but not quite as smart as your average 5th grader. We gotta read about this one. Anzu, the chicken from hell. One of the scientists who named Anzu joked that its name meant the chicken from hell. Anzu was in some ways like a giant chicken. It walked on 2 legs and laid eggs. It had a toothless beak and it had feathers but could not fly. But Anzu's close relatives were not chickens, and it was not a bird at all. Instead, it was an oviraptorosaur, a group of bird-like theropods that probably ate plants, as well as meat, and had few teeth or none at all. Anzu is one of the several members of the oviraptorosaur group from North America. It was also one of the largest of all oviraptorosaurs, although there was at least one larger species in Asia. Anzu stood nearly 5 feet or 1.5 meters tall. Oviraptor, the first discovered dinosaur of this group, was half Anzu's height and less than 1/10 its weight. So the name is for a feared demon in Mesopotamian mythology. It lived 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous. It was found in the U.S., in North Dakota and South Dakota. There are several skeleton fossils. Its length is 11 feet, or 3.4 meters long, and it is definitely big enough to beat a human with its wings. For a century, only bits of oviraptorosaur fossils were known from North America. In 2006, 3 paleontologists studying parts of different skeletons realized they were each looking at the bones of the same species of oviraptorosaur. In 2014, they named it Anzu. Anzu's large beak was thin, not strong. Anzu may have used its beak to crush fruits, small reptiles, or eggs. Here it is, being pursued by a large meat eater. Its little wings and feet going as fast as it can, and it's letting out a cry of distress. It's this little crest on